Right, just had a big chat about a Hilleberg Akto, which you'll hear in a minute. So just a bit of an intro. Just a bit of an intro about me Akto. Hilleberg Akto. I bought the tent. I've used it most of the summer. I've been out a canny few times in it. I mean, it's kept me, it's kept me out the weather and it's kept me dry. Well, dry to an extent, but you'll hear in the video. I haven't had it for years. I've just had it. I bought it earlier this summer, and I've used it all this summer, and I've had a few problems with it. So you're going to hear that. So rather than put it into my wild camping video, I'm going to put it in as a separate piece, and see what sort of feedback we get. But yeah. Anyway, so here it comes. It's about the Hilleberg Akto and a few of its problems. Right. Just want to say a couple of things about Hilleberg Akto tent. I bought this earlier this year, and I've used it quite a few times now. And I mean, in fact, I'll be lying if I say I'm happy with it. I'm not really, to tell you the truth. I think the biggest problem is condensation. It's a bloody nightmare. In the last wild camp I had all the vents wide open, front and back, as far as they can go, and the door vent, and still had really bad condensation. And then if you've got any sort of breeze, your sleeping bag's wet in the morning because it's like raining on you. Gets onto the inner, the inner bedroom compartment, and it starts, a bit of breeze, and it starts it's like mist. I mean, luckily I've got a Rab Neutrino Endurance, and it's built for getting a little bit damp. You don't really feel it until you wake up, and then you kind of feel your bag and you think, yeah, it's soaking. You don't feel, it's not wet inside or nothing like that. But yeah, I mean, you couldn't use this tent. If you had a really bad night of condensation, you couldn't use it for a second night. Because it would be absolutely ringing. Because when you pack it all down, the inner gets just absolutely gets soaked. It's like it's been raining all night. I've had other tents, and you get a little bit of condensation on the inside of the fly and all that, but it doesn't really affect the inside of the tent like it does on the Akto. And I've been reading some of the forums and some of the reviews, and some people say, oh, I've never had a problem with condensation. I just don't believe them. I don't believe them, because I mean, I know under certain conditions you are going to get condensation. You just can't get, maybe when it's not windy, and it's maybe a little bit damp outside, you're going to get it. But most of the times I've been using this tent, it's been quite windy, and you still get condensation. You think with it being windy, you're getting a draft coming through the tent because you've got the vents open, and I don't know. If I wake up in the morning and this tent is soaking, I'm seriously thinking about getting rid of it, really. I used the Vango Banshee 200, and that thing goes up. This is another problem with the Akto. The Vango Banshee goes up. No matter where you pitch, slightly uneven ground, this, that and the other, it goes up, and you can get that tent quite tight as a drum. The only problem with the Banshee 200 is it'll not stand up to any real weather. You know, like, it'll stand up to the rain, but it'll not stand up to really high wind. And that's why I went for the Akto, because I needed something that I could stick on top of a mountain and I wouldn't really worry about the wind. But the other gripe I've got with the Akto is it's not the easiest tent to pitch. If you're on slightly uneven ground, or you know, it just seems quite difficult to get it. It just doesn't look right, you know, to try and get it. When you put it up in your back garden on a flat piece of ground, and you can titivate it, you can. You know, you can get it quite good, but when you're on top of a mountain, and it's, you know, I'm trying to fit the tent in between rocks and this, that and the other. It's very difficult to get the thing tight as a drum. I mean, it'll still keep you dry and this, that and the other, but I don't know. My Vango Banshee 200 it just seemed, no matter where you pitched it, it just went up. No messing around. It went up and it looked good, and you got inside, and it was, you know, really good. I mean, I'm pitched here on top of Great Gable. Now, I've had to wedge it in between a load of rocks. In fact, I've got one rock and just to the side of me here, a big rock, and so, you know. So it's not quite sitting right. Couldn't get the pegs where I wanted to get them, which is, you know, which I think on the Akto you've got to be quite precise with all the pegging out, and it's just flapping around a little bit, and not one of the corners is not quite right because I couldn't get the pegs where I wanted it to be, and it's just, if that was the Vango, it wouldn't really matter if you put the pegs, the corner pegs, maybe 2 centimeters to the right, because it wouldn't matter. It would still go up pretty good and pretty tight, and it wouldn't be a problem. But with the Akto, it is. I might just put this up as a separate piece on YouTube, rather than put this into me Great Gable Wild Camp video, if you know what I mean, because yeah, I'm just a bit peed off with the Akto, really. All the money you spend on it, really. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking a lot of shit. I don't know, but I would like a few comments by other owners just to see what you think of it. I'm not saying it's a bad tent. I mean, it's you know, it looks like it's a well put together piece of kit, and I'm no doubt whatever gets thrown down at me tonight, this tent will probably stand up to it. But it's just all these little niggly problems that I don't like about it. So anyway, any feedback, any tips, greatly appreciated. I'd like to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Now, you're probably not going to see this here, but the amount of condensation you might just see it there, actually. The amount of condensation along the back end of that tent is ridiculous. And this is, you know, the inside of the tent. See, all that's wet. that's ringing. You know, I mean, the inside of the outer, you know, the fly, I can understand how that gets wet, but how does it get so wet in here? Never had that way. It's not too bad down that end of the tent actually. You know, I normally get it down here as well, but it's not too bad down here actually this time. It is down there. Look at that, it's ringing. Absolutely ringing. So there you go, there was the video. I think what I was trying to get at there mainly was the amount of condensation in the inner bedroom. You know, all tents get condensation on the inside of the outer fly. It's probably what I'm moaning at most is the amount of condensation actually inside the bedroom. And I think maybe the why that's happening is there's only one quite small mesh panel. The rest is the rest of the inner bedroom is made up of a it's like a nylon or polyester material, quite thin material, obviously not breathable. So there's only that little mesh panel, which you can close off with little Velcro sticky bits. You know, you can close that mesh panel off if it was maybe, you know, in the really cold, really low temperatures. I think that's why they class it as a 4-season tent. It's because it's got that panel on there. But maybe there should be more mesh panels on the inner bedroom compartment. Maybe there's just not enough, and that's why you're getting all that condensation on the inside. I mean, you know, you might be able to improve the situation by putting in some zipped panels or something on the inner bedroom. Maybe that would solve the issues. I mean, I've never seen as much condensation on the inside of an inner bedroom compartment, and I've had quite a few tents over the years. But anyway, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and be interested to see any comments. Thanks for watching.